How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another week and not another Destiny 2 build video. This week, I'm gonna, attempt my hand at a Grandmaster prep guide so that this weekend, when you play, or, at the beginning of next week when you start, you have a little bit of a guide to go off of. Now, with this, we're gonna go over literally every decent weapon option, at least from my perspective, for every single champ mod, and a few select exotics for each class. This is just going to be like a quick little, here are the weapons, here's my reasoning, we move on. When we actually dive into the Grandmasters themselves next week, that's when we'll do like the full breakdown of perks and how they worked and why they worked and like team loadouts, builds, etc, all that good stuff. Now this video is probably going to be really long, very winded, and it is going to probably test every inch of my editing skills that I do not have. So let's just get started, shall we? First thing we're going to take a look at is barrier sidearms. Now the options here, to be completely honest with you, sidearms are not my top tier choice for barriers, but if you're going to run them, let's go over a few options. First thing we got is Drang, obtained this season through the Crown of Sorrow or the Opulent Chest on Leviathan. It is craftable and it has some pretty good perk options, and it overall is a really good sidearm. Then we have Traveler's Chosen, which is available through the exotic kiosk, and with this exotic perk, you'll be able to get your abilities back faster, which could play into how you deal with certain champions. Trespasser, Season Pass weapon. It is one of my favorite sidearms in the game right now. Could just be the honeymoon phase. But, it could be nice to quickly, do those 3-round bursts to champions. And then finally we have Forerunner, which is from the 30th anniversary. And it is a great option for long-range sidearm if you want to go with sidearms. And it also uses, special ammo, which will, allow you to use special and primary and heavy, because I know not everybody likes to run double primary, which is, understandable. Next, we have Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle, which is my preferred choice of option that is not, like Arbalist or something, which is we'll talk about later. First on my list is New Purpose. This is obtained through the Duality Dungeon, and it rolls with adaptive munitions, which is really, really strong against barrier champions, and honestly, if I'm not using Arbalist, I'm probably going to be using this. Next option, we have Peace of Mind, which is obtained through all the seasonal content from last season. You can get it from the War Table. Can roll Vorpal, and its origin trait, Land Tank, is really good for increased resistance and resilience, and it's craftable. Next, we also have Insidious, which is attained through Vow the Disciple raid. Can roll Demo and Adaptive Munitions, which could play into a much bigger build synergy for you for Grandmasters. Its Soul Drinker origin perk has a artifact mod that boosts it, and it is also craftable. Ogma PR6. It's a world drop. Banshee sold one really, really good one this past week. Hopefully you've picked it up or you're going to pick one up this weekend. It can also roll with Adaptive Munitions, Demolitionist, Adrenaline Junkie, Wellspring. Another just overall good utility anti-barrier weapon to have. Outbreak Perfected, obtainable through the exotic kiosks. The Siva nanites will pop the barriers as well if you're tagging their little homies they usually sit next to. And honestly, Outbreak is one of my favorite pulse rifles in this game. When it's unstoppable, I always try to run Outbreak. It also helps deal with ads. It's very, very good. And finally, we have Graviton Lance, which is obtained through World Drops or Xur. And it is a great pulse rifle for void-based builds, and it just got buffed to have Vorpal Weapon, which will do 20% damage to your barrier champions and turnabout. So when you pop those barrier shields, you're going to get an overshield. Now those, are just my base options for barrier. You can run whatever you really prefer. Obviously, most people are going to run Arbalist this season, and you know what? That is completely fine, because Arbalist is still very, very strong. Next, we're going to take a look at our unstoppable options. The first list we're going to go through here is our scout rifles. Now, we have things like Tears of Contrition, which is obtained through the Crown of Sorrow, or Containment, or the Sever activities. Can roll Triple Tap, Vorpal, Explosive, and it's craftable, and it's a pretty good feeling scout rifle. We also have Night Watch, which is obtained through the new light quest, in which you get Overflow and Explosive Payload, which is a very good combo dealing with basically any champions, as that explosive payload, hits twice. Eternal Blazon, World Drop, honestly, it's the better out of the 2 ARC options we have for non-exotic scout rifles. This and Contingency Plan, I would rather have this. We have Staccato 46, which is a World Drop. Banshee can sell it. Rolls Triple Tap, Vorpal, and Incandescent for your solar builds, so you can feed into more solar. Finally, we have Pointed Inquiry, which is a Throne World weapon. Genesis and Adaptive Munitions is great for this weapon. This right here was the weapon that put adaptive munitions on the map, and it's really good. Of course, it's an archetype most people don't like, but, what can you do? It's a good weapon overall. And finally, we have Skyburner's Oath, which is an exotic scout rifle that just got buffed. It works really, really, really good for Solar 3.0 builds. Applying that Scorch and having things explode. It's just a really, really good scout rifle right now, and it used to be the biggest meme in the entire Destiny 2 community. Another set of weapons that we can look at for Unstoppable is glaives. Honestly, all 3 glaives that we can obtain right now, our legendary ones, Nezaric's Whisper, Luabre's Rune, and the Enigma, are all great options. Obviously, I would prefer some over others, and 2 more glaives that I would want to take a look at is Edge of Action, which is the exotic glaive for Titans that lets you place that bubble, and then Edge of Intent, which is the Warlock exotic glaive that lets you place that healing turret for you and your allies. Those 2, are pretty good, but of course, you really don't want to burn your exotic slot for a glaive when you have the option for a heavy or, just a better champion modded weapon. So with that, now let's move over to the Overload weapons. Now, Overloads have the most options out of literally every single other weapon type in this game. So let's start with our submachine guns. We have Submission, Valve Disciple Raid, Overflow Frenzy is a great combo, and it's craftable. It's a very good submachine gun. We have the Callous Mini Tool, which you can get from the Crown of Sorrow or the Opulent Chests. And it also has Incandescent for dealing with ads and, having your Solar 3.0 builds work a little better. Also craftable. Funnel Web, World Drop. Overall, just a really, really, really good SMG. Unforgiven, which comes from the Duality Dungeon, has good perks like Demolitionist, Tricorn, Feeding Frenzy, Adrenaline Junkie, and Repulsor Brace, which could be very good with your Void builds that you're running through the season. Whether you're that, the Banner Shield Titan or the Omnioculus Hunter, this might actually be a good choice to get that Overshield. For auto rifles, we have Firefright, which is obtainable this season through Crown of Sorrow, or Containment. It doesn't have crazy perks, but due to it being easily obtained this season and being craftable, I put it on this list. And then finally, for our auto rifle SMG section, we have Sweet Sorrow, which is the auto rifle from last season, which is a rapid fire frame, and has some really good perk combos. I have yet to fully craft this, so I don't know what it is fully capable of, but it is actually a really good arc option that we have to our advantage. It's not like a Risk Runner or something like that. And then, we move on to Trace Rifles, and for Trace Rifles, honestly, all of them are really good. Stunning Champions, you have Retrace Path, you got Hollow Denial, Aegir Scepter, Divinity, which you don't even need a champion mod for, and, what's another one? What's the other one? I can't remember. Oh, Prometheus Lens. Prometheus Lens is another really good option for like Solar 3.0 builds that you want to potentially run inside of your Grandmaster content. Now, let's go over some heavy options and some other little bits and pieces that can really make or break your Grandmaster runs. First things first, heavies, I'm using one of 2 options. One of which are linear fusion rifles, match the acute burn. If it's solar, run solar. If it's arc, run arc. Void, run void. Whatever option you have for that. And the second option, which is a lot more easier to do, is have one person run Galahorn and the other 2 people run 2 legendary rockets that match the burn. So for example, I would run Galley, Arc Burn, my 2 friends would run Hothead. Solar, Hazen's Vengeance, Void, the Red Herring from the Throne World, there are options for that one to work. Arbalest, do not count it out. I know it got nerfed by that 20%, 25%. I believe people are saying that it's doing less damage as a whole, but it is still great. One taps the barrier champions, get your ammo back, swap to your heavy, shoot it, pop it, get your ammo back, swap to your heavy, get rid of the barrier champion. And finally, the last thing for weapon recommendations are blinding grenade launchers for just utility are amazing. There have been many times where blinding grenade launchers have, made or break Grandmaster runs. So that whole 10-minute rant is, just the weapons. Now we're going to move on to, some exotic armor choices for each one of the classes. For my Titans on this list, we have Ursa Furiosas. Banner Shield is still a really, really good super to use, and it's tied now to Sentinel Shield, so you're not forced to just run Banner. Now, if you need to, use your shield as ad clearing and just getting rid of enemies as fast as possible, you now have that option to do both, and, getting half your super back with Ursa's is not an awful idea. Aeon Safes, just in case you need to be the one making ammo for your team with Sective Insight. I know normally it's not the Titans, but sometimes you gotta fall into a role that you might just not be comfortable with. Cuirass of the Falling Star. Arc Burn weeks will see a lot of Thundercrash Titans, namely Inverted Spire. So this will be needed to get a little extra out of your Thundercrash. And I'm sorry if you hear my PlayStation joining the, SpaceX program. She's a little old. Next, we have Loreley Splendor Helm. All you Titans out there, you've been saying how you're unkillable with this particular exotic. Let's see you do it in Grandmasters. I'll be excited to see how that works out for you. Now, my Hunters, you have a few more options this season compared to normally. Let's go over the two very obvious ones. First, Omnioculus. It's a great support for Void Hunters, giving you that resistance and visibility. Having 2 smoke bombs, getting your smoke bombs back upon making allies invisible. Overall, a really good option. Aeon Swifts. Same reason, in case you need to make ammo for your team. Odds are, it's going to be you, Hunters, so be prepared for that. Make sure you have a build centered around big finishers. Void Hunter, Deadfall with the invisibility fragment is going to be really, really good. Shards of Galanor, Blade Barrage Hunters are popular right now, so if you're going to use it, make sure you can use it a lot. Me personally, I would rather throw more Blade Barrages than be able to throw one superpowered with Star Eater Scales, because some people marry themselves to the idea of you can only throw it when you have max, and you end up dying or taking it to, taking your super to orbit. It's not a great habit to get into. And finally, Aether's Embrace. This one is personal for me. It's going to be a build that I make specifically for Warden of Nothing. And I'm putting it on this list in case people are interested in trying that build when I do eventually, end up making it for, Warden of Nothing. Finally, my Warlocks. Let's go over your exotics that I'm going to be taking a look at. Aeon Soul, same reason as every other class. Just in case you need to make ammo for the team. Again, normally it's not the Titan or the Warlock, but just in case, have it ready in case you need to fall into that role. Starfire Protocol. Fusion grenades are very, very, very good this season with high damage, output. So you may as well bring this, pair it with Withering Heat, get the extra damage. It's going to be great. Osmiomancy Gloves. Double stasis turrets. This is the safest build you can ever run in a Grandmaster Nightfall. You get your quicker cold snaps, and you get your 2 stasis turrets. It is a very, very, very good and very viable build, no matter what Grandmaster you take this into. And finally, for my Warlocks, Geomag Stabilizers. Same reason as I put Falling Star on this list for those Arc Burn Nightfalls, like for example, Inverted Spire. You're going to need it, and you're going to burn down those, that boss very quickly at the end, because that is honestly the most challenging part of Inverted Spire, is just burning the boss. So Geomag Stabilizers, Cuirass the Falling Star, you guys should be completely fine and get it done. So with that being said, that is the end of I think this is my longest video yet, going over just some weapon ideas and some exotic armors for your classes. Throughout the next couple of weeks, I'm only going to do them 1 week at a time to make it easier on myself and make it easier for those people who want to do it weekly or have to do it weekly because they don't have the Conqueror seal. So I'm going to do mine weekly. I'm not going to try to bang them all in one day because honestly that is going to stress me out entirely. So I hope everybody enjoyed this little insight to, what I'm going to be trying to make work this season for Grandmasters. I hope you liked the video. Comment down below what you're most excited to use, and please consider subscribing for, the Grandmaster guides that are coming out in the next few weeks. I hope y'all have a good week.